Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show. And yes, we've done entertainment, but let's have some real conversation right now. As we know, Cape Town has long been a global favorite, famous for its absolute beauty and also the lifestyle to go along with that. And growing international appeal, there's no denying it. We've seen it everywhere. But beneath the stunning views, a serious issue is actually emerging. Now, locals are being priced out of their city. And as more remote workers, as well as digital nomads settle in here, the cost of living is rising, and it's affecting many of us and sparking a lot of tension between long-time residents and then also the newcomers that we would otherwise want to welcome in. And today we'll explore what's really behind this change and ask the burning questions: who actually gets to stay and who's being left behind? So joining us to unpack it all is property law expert Dr. Giselle Levita, and also we have the gorgeous presenters from Good FM Weekends. We've got Irma G as well as Noni Khadebe. Welcome, ladies. Thank you for being here. Very important conversation we've got to get into. Digital nomads has been a buzzword I've seen everywhere, but let's get down to the basics of it. What is a digital nomad, and why does it have such a visceral effect when people start talking about it, Doc?
Well, I think digital nomads have always been around, but well, when we define a digital nomad, we mean somebody who's not a local, but they earn enough money to be able to work here. And the cost of living is a lot less expensive here compared to their home country.
Right.
So our current situation is that, of course, Cape Town is great. We know it's the best city in the world, recently voted. So a lot of people are moving here because they want to enjoy a quality of life that they couldn't enjoy at home.
Right.
So the issue now is that they have more money than locals. Even if you're one of the top earners in our country, you can't compete with somebody who's earning in euros, pounds, dollars. So that's the issue. They can now live in the Atlantic seaboard. And growing up, we were always promised, go to school, get a good degree.
Hard.
And then you're going to live in the nice areas. You're going to go to the beach, all of these things. But that's not a promise that we can enjoy anymore.
Wow. Okay, thank you for explaining that. I mean, Irma, you've been in the mother city for a minute now. I know you've explored other cities. You've come back home. You've obviously spoken to a lot of people that live in Cape Town too, and maybe have heard some of the frustrations from the ground of people not even being able to afford their rent because it's gone up because of this phenomenon. So what are some of the stories that you've been hearing?
Look, it's not easy, and it never is, particularly in a situation like that. But I think with such a high rate of unemployment in our city, you know, a lot of people, first and foremostly, don't know that they too can be a digital nomad.
That's
I have a friend currently who works for an overseas company, and he works from home, which is great. But we have so many unemployed people who are not tapping into that. So we need to start that conversation at a later date also. But more importantly, the fact that there are so many people who can't afford to flat out buy a house or a flat or be in a stable situation. Like that's really not cool. And it's something that definitely needs to be re-looked at, because what is government going to do about securing for us first as well, because we've all been in the struggle, right? We've all fought hard for this. We've all voted. Every single time you go to the voting poll and you make your eggs, but what do we get in return for it? And the frustration is nothing really. And that's sad if you think about it.
Sure. I don't want to think about it too much even, because it's our realities. It's like, this is really the life that we've worked so hard and got degrees for. I mean, you can barely afford a cup of coffee now. You know what I'm saying? Never mind matcha. Noni, let's come to you a little bit. I mean, you on air every single day, 5 to 6 a.m. in the morning, on the weekends now as well. What sort of things have listeners even been saying? It's calling in saying, you know, this is my frustration.
So, I mean, just hopping off what Irma said, especially among the youth, there's a lot of frustration. Because a lot of us have had to forfeit these dreams of having our own apartments, you know, before getting married and having that 50-50 kind of, you know, situation or split. So there's been a lot of frustration in terms of that, and also having to find places that are further away from the city. And then you have to consider things like safety, you have to consider things like travel, you know, closeness to opportunities as well. So yeah, a lot of listeners are just, they understand the importance of tourism and how, you know, these nomads are actually pouring into our economy, but at the same time they're like, we are getting pushed out of our own city.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's quite a huge, a rife issue, especially among the youth, yeah.
It's like forced removal in 2025.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a scary reality.
Yep.
But I wonder, Doc, is there maybe like a happy medium where we do understand and we can support the move and push for digital nomads and the benefit of tourism in the country, but also that we are not on the downside of?
I think in a large sense, we have villainized digital nomads.
Okay.
But of course they want to live here.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Why wouldn't you want to live
Right.
here?
You
Especially
can't
if
blame
you have
them.
all of this money. You're rich here and you're not rich at home.
Exactly.
It makes perfect sense. But it's a systemic issue.
Yeah.
It's not just them. It's the fact that our laws have not adequately addressed this.
Sure.
There's policy gaps in terms of regulating short-term rentals. But there's also profit maximization from the side of property owners.
That's the thing. So the conversation definitely needs to be had both ways. Because, I mean, I see this so many times in my neighborhood. So people have their house, right? And then they have a garage attached to it.
Yeah.
And so what happens? You pay somebody else from another country to come and run a corner shop, a tuck shop from your garage. So they pay you rent. You get something out of it. But if you're giving somebody else maybe from here the opportunity to do that, then maybe okay. But yeah, we have to have so many conversations.
A round table just with everybody. Yes.
You can't just blame the one person who came here because Cape Town's beautiful, because she is. She's cute.
We love her.
But it is an all-encompassing thought. But my wish for our country is that we no longer like hurry up and catch up, but we try and be proactive about certain things.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great way to wrap up part one of this very interesting conversation that, yes, needs to continue. And if you would like to participate, maybe you are a digital nomad and you're watching going, it's me, am I the problem? Send us a voice note. We would love to hear your side of the story as well. Or like you were saying, Irma, about being a property person. If you are that and you're saying, you know what, it benefits me, we would love to hear from you as well on our WhatsApp line. So please do get in touch. Otherwise, on our Facebook, you can find that number on screen right now. You can find us at Expresso Show. Part 2 coming your way soon.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show indeed. Thank you for spending your wonderful Monday morning with us as we get into the second half of this conversation all around the housing debate in Cape Town. And it can feel like a bit of a tug of war with the locals on one end and tourism, profit, and even policy at the other end. But it doesn't have to be that way, all right? At least we're hoping so, because we now shift gears from problems to possibilities, maybe solutions. How do we ensure fairness without shutting the door on opportunity? That is definitely a great question to ask. And how do you plan for the future without, of course, losing the soul of the city? And yes, Cape Town has so much soul, which is why we brought in experts today to talk about this. Property law expert, Dr. Giselle Levita, and as well as our wonderful Good FM family. Two presenters from the weekend. We've got Irma G and Noni Khadebe. So welcome back, ladies. Thank you so much for continuing this conversation and marching on, because this is something that we do need to raise in casual conversation, right? Until we find solutions or possibilities. Doc, let's talk a little bit more about Airbnb. So this is a conversation that's also gone around talking about short-term rentals, right? And considering them as commercial property being viable in that space. So what is the debate going on there?
Well, actually, our government is differentiated between commercial use of property in the sense that you're running your property entirely as a business. And they've said that, so it was the tourism department that is responsible for regulating short-term rentals. And they've said, if you are running your short-term rental as a business, we will treat you as a business. But they've acknowledged the need for people to be able to earn money off their property. It's a property entitlement to be able to make an income.
Right.
So in most recent discussions in the Tourism Portfolio Committee meetings, they've been discussing the idea of perhaps a 90-day cap, where people can use their property for short-term rentals for 90 days. But if you want to do longer than that, then you'll be treated like a business. The danger of commercial use of property, or classifying it as commercial use of property, is that we no longer have protection like the Rental Housing Act or the Prevention of Illegal Eviction Act. And we saw that incident in Camps Bay where the house was being occupied. And so having access to those protections is really important. So there's something to have to be considered in that regard. But so far, our government stance is if you're running it like a business, we plan to treat you like a business.
Okay, I mean, that's good to hear. I've seen other tensions rise in other cities like Mexico and Lisbon as well. And I wonder if there's anything that we can borrow from them that they've done right or how they've sort of managed the space. I don't know if you guys have heard anything that you'd like to contribute in that regard. Doc?
Take this.
Doc, do you want to?
Yeah, well, currently, I just lived in Spain last year.
Yes, tell us more.
And so I stayed in Madrid where they had signs up saying tourists go home.
Wow.
In Barcelona, people actually got attacked because of how upset the locals were about lack of affordable housing. Because the situation there is you could share a room with 4 other people, like an apartment with 4 other people, and we'd pay 12,500 rand.
Sure.
Which is actually not very different to current prices in Cape Town in the Atlantic seaboard. So we can see that the issues that they face there, we could very easily face here. So places like London, what they've done is implemented a 90-night rule, where they say, if you want to do more than 90 nights, you need to register. And what they've done, interestingly, is they've paired with short-term rental platforms like Airbnb, so that they ensure that their 90-day limit is kept.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of the time we look for a target when there's a problem, and if we find somebody within arm's reach, that's where all the hate goes. So if we see somebody exploring Cape Town, I've seen it all the time on TikTok and Instagram, you go to the comment section and the hate is so crazy. Where in a country like South Africa, that took me aback because I thought we're such a warm country. We're always welcoming people, saying how beautiful our cities are that we've been crowned #1 in. So, I mean, really, I'm trying to find this middle ground between saying, yes, come through, we love Cape Town, we want to show you more about it, and then having those regulations and saying, you know what, come, but then leave again at the same time.
So I know that some places or some countries actually have tourist visas, like cutoff days. So if you're a digital nomad, you're here for, as doctors touched on, 90 days. After that, you need to reapply. You know, so that's something that could be considered. And like you said, there's quite a huge outrage on TikTok right now, specifically when it comes to young influencers, young people with a voice, with platforms, saying we are getting pushed out of our own lease agreements, we're getting pushed out of our own city. So yeah, it's a conversation that has to be had, and people need to, well, not people, but the youth and everyone who's affected actually needs to be heard, not just, listened to.
And heard beyond social media too. I think in real spaces, like you said, where policy gets implemented and activated, that's where change really needs to happen.
But also frustration is real.
Yeah.
You know, it's a tangible thing. Because how dare you tell me you're in my city, you're in this beautiful place, and you do these like beautiful screenshots, and then on the flip side, you complain about the service. And, girl.
Yeah.
I have words to say that I can't say here, but that's the thing. But I think what we need to do is to take the best of all situations worldwide and to see if there's a way to cohesively put them together for ourselves. I mean, like, I like the 90-day rule, but how do we enforce that? You know, so like you say that they have these agreements with the Airbnbs, but you've got to get those people to buy into that as well. But if I own a property and I really don't see the problem with it, and I'm getting my money, am I really going to sign up for something?
Do you know what I'm saying?
It's true.
So it's,
that I'm benefiting from.
It's a terrible seesaw situation you find yourself in. But I always think that, I mean, look, I've been on this planet for a while, and I'm the youngest. That was too much.
Graham.
I'm the youngest of 7 kids, right? And I've seen how all my siblings have been in relationships, for instance. And I'm like, I can take that. That's good. No, I don't want that. And you find what works and you try and implement. I think that's what we as a country need to do, politically speaking, and especially when it comes to enforcing laws.
And formally really, so as well, so that there is evidence that this has happened.
100%.
So, Doc, the balance, where are we meeting? What is the middle? What is from today the way forward that we can even find peace at?
So the global perspective is a cap on the number of days that short-term rentals should operate. And it's the global approach for a reason, because it works. So that's a balance between ensuring that people can make money off their property and we still promote the tourism industry.
Right.
But our locals also have affordable housing. After all, it will only be a sustainable city if it's sustainable for locals.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's a great way to end it. Only sustainable if it is sustainable for us sitting on this couch, for the locals. Because yes, you can visit and enjoy yourself as a digital nomad, but realize the impact that that has way beyond the 90 days that you have left behind. So thank you, ladies, so much. What a great conversation, and hopefully we'll continue on the online and policy space going forward.